très rapide, aller en partie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Who is Best, a show where I, Lo Claudine, look at games that have you make significant choices, be it party members, weapons, classes, or anything else, and rank them in tier lists. Today we'll be looking at Falcom's RPG gem, Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel. This game was recently ported to the PS4 and is well loved by RPG enthusiasts. I personally think the game is great. Sure, it keeps you on rails for most of it, but the well-balanced and engaging battle system, persona-like structure of dungeons and school life, and most importantly, the colorful and multi-layered cast make this a must-play for any lover of the genre. And that colorful cast is exactly why we are here today. We will be making a tier list of Class 7. There are 10 permanent party members in this game, and we'll be examining each one and placing them on a tier list, starting with the crap tier and ending with the god tier. We'll be taking into account stats, crafts, and overall ability. All of this will be based on endgame, although early use is considered as well. Also, stick around to the end to hear the optimal party setup.
Okay, right. Leave it to me!
Take this!
There! Here!
This is what we're really capable of.
Without further ado, let's get started. The tier. Trails of Cold Steel is surprisingly well balanced in its characters, and thus contains no party members that would be considered crap tier. With that being said, let us start with the low tier. Number 10, Eusis Alborea. Eusis, member of one of the 4 great houses, is a cocky swordsman who keeps himself distant from the other members of Class 7. His character arc is built much slower throughout the game, and his rival-like relationship with Machias makes for some great moments throughout.
Rean! There we go.
Eusis is the party's jack of all trades. There really isn't a job he can't accomplish. He can be a decent attacker with crafts that are based mostly on attacking. He also has a high magic stat and thus can be used as either a support or offensive mage. Noble Command is useful at the start of battle, buffing strength, speed, and ATS. Unfortunately, Eusis does none of these things the best, which is the curse of most jack of all trades characters. He is by no means a bad character, just not the best.
You're in the shoe! Crystal Saber!
Number 9, Lara Arcee. I know people are getting angry, and I'm sorry. Lara is the physical DPS of the party and can destroy multiple targets with one swing. Many of her crafts are useful in taking out hordes, especially Brilliant Spin, which can draw in surrounding enemies before attacking them. She can buff herself immensely with Radiant Wings, which gives her strength and defense at a 50% buff, while debuffing her ATS and ADF. Unfortunately, Lara falls very short in 2 very important areas: speed and ADF. Bosses are almost guaranteed to attack twice before she goes once. This means that long drawn out battles are her weakness. On top of that, she will fall to almost all heavy magic attacks due to her low ADF. This makes it so she isn't even useful as a tank. Sure, you can use all of her gem slots to buff her speed and ADF, but then you're just left with a mediocre character. Number 8, Milium Orion. Milium seemed to me like a character thrown out of left field. She joins Class 7 halfway through the game and doesn't seem to fit in with the older group. With that being said, she does bring a levity to the more serious characters. Her constant jibes at Eusis and comments on how big Emma's boobs are is especially welcome.
Wow! That makes your boobies look even bigger!
Milium has almost the same utility as Lara. She is a heavy hitter with insanely high defense. What sets her slightly above Lara is her high ADF and her attacks that hit the entire field. With that being said, she also suffers the same fate as Lara. She has a very low speed stat and an even lower HP stat. Again, you'll be using most of your slots to cover for these shortcomings, making her a not so useful character. And that ends the low tier, moving on to mid tier. The mid tier is comprised of characters that are extremely useful in the early game. Case in point being Gaius Warzel, who boasts some good beginning crafts as well as high natural speed and evasion. Though his stats aren't amazing, they are well rounded, making him a very safe pick. Gaius' utility comes mostly in the form of delaying enemy attacks. He is a fast character and also has many AoE attacks that can delay hordes or bosses. His evasion makes him a little less squishy than he would have been otherwise. A perfect character for beginners who are working their way through the old schoolhouse.
Together, we're unbeatable.
Number 6, Elliot Craig.
I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. Hey, Rean, are you okay?
Easy now. Hands where she can see them.
Elliot and Emma are the two mages of the party and thus stand out from everyone else in this list. Trails of Cold Steel doesn't do art users justice in this first installment, and thus they are in a strange position. Depending on how you use them, Emma and Elliot can be extremely useful as both support or attackers, though it is usually easier to just forego them for craft users like Fee, Rean, Elisa, and Machias. With that being said, they aren't bad choices either. Elliot is another early game must that helps keep your party alive while also dishing out some considerable damage. He is most suited as a support character, especially if given the right quartz, but can also be a heavy damage dealer with the right arts. His support skills are amazing during the first half of the game, especially Surrounding Beat, which gives a defense buff as well as HP regain, but later on there are just better options for support. I do like that his staff turns into a violin though, a fun little detail.
You've been a wonderful audience.
Moving on to the top tier, Emma Milstein. Emma, the uncontested ultimate waifu of the Trails series. Or is it Rixia, because she's amazing. Or maybe it's Strizard, or Sharon, or even Sarah. We can't forget Yuna. Oh, and Muse. And, okay. There's a lot to choose from, but Emma is babe numero uno. She's also the better of the two mages. Emma really is best used as an art nuker. Her high ATS stat can be put to good use clearing mobs and hitting bosses with excessive force. Her speed isn't anything to write home with, and she can be slightly squishy, but Emma also has the potential to dish out the highest amount of damage of any other character in the game. Also, her story is the most interesting of any member of Class 7. By the way, if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter at LowCloudane for video games and anime news as well. Number 4 of the top tier is Rean Schwarzer. There is nothing bad to say about Rean. He's pretty much good at anything, though it is better to use him as either an evasive tank or fast DPS over an arts nuker simply because arts aren't as useful as crafts. Rean's real utility is found in his arc/craft, which can almost indefinitely delay anything that is not immune. With high speed, this guy can ensure that no enemy is able to attack. Just be sure to pair him with a good CP support character.
Don't! Stop!
The God tier. There are 3 game-breaking characters in Trails of Cold Steel, the first of which is Machias Regnitz. Machias is arguably the second best support character in the game, though many could possibly argue that he is the best party member in the game. He can be best described as an AoE attacking support tank. Yeah. His attacks are mid-range and can hit multiple enemies. He has many crafts that are AoE and also can inflict status ailments on enemies. He has a high defense and ADF stat along with decent HP that makes him very hard to kill. With all that being said, what really rockets him to the god tier is his craft Burst Drive, which accelerates the whole party. This can make for some devastating combos to the point where you can down a boss before he can even damage you.
This is what we're really capable of.
The next broken character is Elisa Rainford.
Ouch.
Whoa, sorry about that. Are you okay? I should have picked a better place to take in the scenery.
Sure, Elisa isn't anything to write home about when it comes to stats. She has a long-range weapon but doesn't do much damage, and she can be somewhat squishy. But all of this is overshadowed with the ability Heavenly Gift. This ability gives insight and CP regain, making abilities like Rean's Arc Slash or Machias' Burst Drive a reusable resource as well as constant use of S-Crafts. Overall, Elisa turns any character into a god tier character, making her the ultimate support character of the game. The final character on this list is also the most broken of the entire game. Fie Clausel is an evasion goddess. She has the highest evasion stat in the game, and with the right items such as evergreens or patterned shirts, along with Thor, Falco, or Mirage Master Quartz, she is literally untouchable. From there, simply whittle down the enemy with status ailments and her useful AoE crafts. She is truly a god tier character, if there ever was one.
Go!
Now, the optimal party can be changed around a bit depending on what you would like to do. In theory, using Rean with the Thor or Vermilion Master Quartz, Fie with the Thor or Falco Master Quartz, Elisa with a Master's Quartz that gives her survivability, defense, or ATS advantages, and Machias with Mobius makes an untouchable team. Rean and Fie attack while Machias supports them with Burst Drive and items while Elisa focuses on CP regain and healing. I personally think that using both support characters is overkill and would switch Machias for Emma, having her focus on arts damage with emergency healing if needed. Also, it's Emma, so yeah, you know. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and leave a comment below as well as a like. Also, check out my other videos on this channel. For the next tier list, we'll be looking at the greatest game ever made, Nier Automata, and we'll be creating a tier list of the weapons you find in that game. That sounds interesting? Be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.